What's up everyone, Ryan from Oakland Ghosts, and today I'm super excited because I got a brand new piece of gear, what I'm hoping is the final kind of piece of my setup, and I'm just super excited to explore it and share my first impressions with you. Hopefully it's going to be awesome. If you've watched my channel before, you guys know that I tend to go for gear that's been around a little bit longer. I don't really like paying to be a beta tester and then finding out that maybe that piece of gear isn't right for me or doesn't work as advertised, etc. But in this case, I did make an exception. This is a brand new synth, fresh on the market. I'm probably one of the first people that has gotten one. If you look on YouTube, there's really not a lot of videos on it yet, which is one of the reasons that I wanted to do it. I wanted to explore it and share it with you guys and see if it's a awesome synth and worth your time. Enough preamble. That synth is the GS Music Bree6 Polyphonic Analog Synthesizer. Let me start by saying that GS did not send this to me. I bought this with my own money. They don't know that I'm doing this video. They don't even know who I am. That said, GS Music, Guido, if you guys are watching and you want to send me an E7 to, review and explore, I'd be super open to that. That's all just to say that any bias that you might hear in this video is probably just coming from the excitement of having a new piece or the fact that I spent a ton of money to get a piece that I'm really hoping is going to work the way I hope that it will. Let's just dive in. Let's check it out. Let's see what it sounds like. I'm going to give a general overview as I understand it. As usual, this is my first impressions video, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the instructions before I do it, because if it's designed as intended, I should be able to figure it out fairly easily. At least that's the hope. So we're going to check it out. I'll give you a general overview of what it is and how it works. We'll hear a little bit of sounds as I kind of explore, but I'll probably do a more in-depth kind of sound demo video later. This is mostly just showing you what the synth is and how it works. So let's dive in. All right, so I guess maybe the first and most important question is why the Bree6? Why did I get this synthesizer? As I've sort of been building my setup and realizing what kind of synths work for me, what kind of things I like to do, how my workflow goes, there's a couple important factors that led me to getting this. The first was that I was recognizing that one of the things that I was missing, I have a lot of great analog mono synths, but one of the things that I was really missing was a polyphonic synthesizer. Long story short, while I'm looking at polysynths and I know I want an analog, I came across a company called GS Music. It's a very small boutique company out of Argentina. Their first synth was the E7, which is a 7-voice analog polysynth, and it's widely regarded as kind of like a modern classic. It's got this really nice vintage 70s, 80s sound to it. It's like this thing's big brother. It looks like a marvelous synth. I haven't got to play it. I have heard it. I've seen lots of people do some fabulous things with it, and that just got me interested in this company. And again, if you've watched my channel, you know that I like supporting smaller manufacturers who are really making passion projects, because those tend to be the better synths and they tend to be really cool. And I'm hoping that this one is going to be just like that. So it's kind of an evolution of the E7. It's its little brother. Instead of having 2 oscillators per voice, it has a single oscillator and a sub. So it's already stripped down. The interface is just a little simplified. There's less LFOs and all that kind of stuff. So it should be a really streamlined process. We're about to find out. And hopefully it's going to sound as good as its big brother. That's my hope anyway. All right, enough preamble. Right now I have it patched into my mixer and I'm using just the Deluge to make sounds with it. So let's see. I think I got the MIDI right. So to get into MIDI, to use any of these functions down here, you just hit Shift and do it. Yeah, okay, so I have MIDI channel 7. Perfect. That's what I want. I should note that this does come with presets. It comes with a ton of presets. That's one of the beauties of these modern analog synths. Even though it's all analog, you can save your presets. And it comes with a ton of presets. I haven't explored them yet. Maybe we'll do that in another video. I just want to see if I can get sound out of it myself and just kind of show you what this thing's all about. All right, so I got my MIDI channel set. I'm going to go to panel mode, which means all of these knobs are going to be per function, right? Super simple. So the first thing, I can see that we're getting MIDI and I'm hearing a click. But the first thing we're going to want to do is adjust envelope 2, which is going to control the amplifier so that we can get some kind of sound out. So I'm going to add a bit of this. Ooh, yeah, check that out. That's nice. So it's giving me a visual representation of what we're actually doing. So I would think we'd be able, okay, so we got, oh, you know what? My cutoff's all the way off. So let's turn that over. Oh, and it does a little something with that too. So let's turn the cutoff all the way up. Keep the resonance off for now. There we go. Maybe a shorter sound. So I'm just hitting single notes right now. I'm not really going poly by any means. Okay, let's go to So these are the different ways that you can play it. We got polystereo, which will kind of spread things around in the stereo field because it is a stereo synth. It has left and right out. So polystereo will just kind of move the different voices. Let's see. So as we can see, it's sort of, it's just moving it around in the stereo field as I select different notes, kind of round robin, which is pretty cool. Very cool. And then we have poly, which should be able to do it. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to polystereo for a minute. I'm just going to play a quick chord and see what happens. So you can see over here, it's telling you what voices are active and they're going left, right. That's pretty rad. Okay, and then poly, that's just going to keep everything centered. It's still going back and forth a little bit, but it's keeping it more in the middle. So this is saw and pulse and sub. Ooh, very cool. Per voice. So that's that. Okay, and then we also have mono, which will work like a traditional mono synth. I think we could even... So that's portamento. Very cool. And then last we have unison, which will stack all the voices per one. So it should thicken it up. And then we also, I'm going to go down an octave here. Oh yeah, that sounds good down low. And you can also detune those voices. Just thicken it up a bit. I mean, that should allow you to get some pretty massive basses. There's your different modes to start. Why don't we, I'm going to turn the detune off. We'll stick in polystereo for now. And let's check out these different synths. So this one right now, I think if we do, what is it? Shift and sub. Okay, so now that's just going to be the sawtooth. So the different waveforms we got is we have sawtooth. So that's our first. I'm clipping a little bit, so I'm going to just turn this down just a hair. That's better. Because I don't want the clip to make you think that it's sounding crackly or something. It's just because I'm clipping in my mixer. Okay, so there we go. We got our sawtooth. Very cool. We got our pulse wave. Oh, okay, that's why. So right now the pulse width modulation is all the way down, so. So with our pulse width modulation. And we could use the LFO to actually modulate that pulse width modulation. Let's try it, see what happens. Sounds pretty cool up high right there. Anyway, yeah, okay. So there's our square, or our pulse wave, with pulse width modulation, if we like. And then the last, so it's basically just a triangle square. That's what you get, and that's per voice. And then you could either do sawtooth, pulse wave, and then this last one is actually a sub oscillator, which will play an octave down pulse wave, square wave on top of that. So let's add that and see what that sounds like. Very cool. And you could run that with the triangle and a sub, and you can see that it tells you all the information, which I just love. So that just richens up the sound a little bit. And then we got this one, which is the pulse and the sub, and then last you can do the saw, pulse, and sub all together. still could do this with the saw and pulse, which is fun. Awesome. Okay, so there's your oscillator section. For now, why don't we just stick with, I'm gonna stick with just a sawtooth, just because it'll be easier to demonstrate. I don't think this is gonna do anything, right? Yeah, that's only gonna work with that. Okay, great. So moving on from the oscillator, the way the signal path is gonna work, of course, is we're gonna move over to the filter section. And the filter is a 4-pole ladder filter, which is kind of rare unless you're getting a Moog on a polysynth. And as we know, Moog doesn't make a whole lot of polysynths. And when they do, they are very expensive. Let's check that bad boy out. Just gonna crank this up a little bit. And for now, let's go poly center. And I'm gonna crank the resonance a little bit just so we can get a filter sweep. Yes, sir. More resonance. So, starting to self-oscillate a little bit once we get up in here. So I'd say about, when you get to about 3/4 is when it starts to self-oscillating. Let's try it on let's do a chord. How about that? Man, that sounds pretty tight. I'm a fan. That's a very, very nice sounding filter. So, I mean, I usually stick around there. That's always where I kind of like it. And then in terms of modulation, the sources we have is we could either modulate it with the envelope, which will be EG1, envelope generator 1, or with the LFO. And then there is keyboard tracking, which is nice. With a traditional ladder filter, it treats lower notes different than it treats high notes. You'll start to lose a lot of the high frequencies. But if we use keyboard tracking, so keyboard tracking will just make it play a little nicer when you're doing higher notes. It just gives you some different effects. You know, I have keyboard tracking on my Vermona Monolancet as well. It's pretty nice, but let's try modulating it a bit with the LFO. This actually is a good opportunity to check out the LFO. So the LFO, as you can see, we have a triangle, we have kind of a sawtooth, or we have a ramp up, a ramp down. That's how I'm going to describe it. So here's our, let's just stick with this for now. Maybe we could even do a chord. And then here's a ramp up. You also have a ramp down. A square, of course. And then we actually have a sample and hold too, which is awesome. So that's basically like a random. So we can get pretty weird with that too. I'm gonna leave it on triangle for now. And then this, of course, is just an attenuator. So it's how much that the LFO is twisting that cutoff for me. And then the trick is you always find that sweet spot. So the LFO is one way that you can modulate the cutoff. Another way is with the envelope, and it comes with two envelopes. It comes with envelope generator 2 is actually what's controlling basically the gate that comes out the amplifier. This is where we can, and what I love is it gives you this display to show you exactly what we're doing. So let's do like a long pad almost. Let's see what that's gonna do. I love that it gives you this visual of exactly how it's kind of going. I'm gonna get chords over open note here, so it's just a little easier. And we're on a mono synth. Let's go to poly. So yeah, as you can see, envelope generator 2 rather, is controlling the gate that's coming out of the amplifier. So if we do it real short, if I turn off sustain, it's effectively, no matter what I press, how long I hold. So if you don't understand how an envelope works, attack is how quickly the volume basically comes up from the amplifier. Right now I have it basically as soon as I press the note, it's turning on. Decay is going to be how quickly it slopes down into whatever your sustain level is. Your sustain level is basically your volume while you're holding a note. You can think of it that way. If you turn it all the way off, now you basically just have an attack, decay, release thing. So it's, no matter how long I'm holding the note over here on the deluge. It's not doing anything because there's no sustain. So we'll keep it about right there for now. And then the release is how quickly the volume ramps off when you let go of the note. So I have a pretty long release there. But if I turn it off, as soon as I let go, it goes off. So that's your really quick envelope tutorial if you don't know what it is. So that's the envelope for the amplifier. That's basically the shape of your sound in general, right? The second envelope generator is for your filter. So you can craft one that is going to, and for starters, let's just do one that's pretty similar to what we have. So what this is going to do is it's pretty similar to the one I've built for the amplifier. It's just going to turn this knob based on the settings here. Oh, we got to add it though. So let's add. So basically, what this envelope's doing, this is an attenuator. It's how much of the envelope I want to influence it. It's turning this knob for me based on the shape of this. So it's sloping in. God, this thing sounds great. This is just the saw. Let's add the sub back in. That thickens it up quite a bit, doesn't it? It kind of sounds like a Juno, which makes sense because it's a single oscillator with a sub and it's a 6-voice analog polysynth. So it makes sense that it would kind of sound like a Juno. You know what would make it sound? Well, before we jump into that, you can use portamento and detune on poly as well. It's most traditionally used in unison or mono, but you can detune here too. Which isn't bad because it just adds a little more warmth, I think, when all the notes aren't perfectly in tune. But what I was going to say is, what would make this sound even more like a Juno? It would be chorus. And that's the last piece of the puzzle here on the Bree6, is it comes with some effects. It comes with chorus and it comes with delay. Now, the effects are digital, but an analog signal path goes through it. So the dry of the signal is basically, that's the analog signal path. So it's going to maintain that even as you're adding stuff. But they are digital effects, but hopefully they sound good. great. We're not even utilizing the LFO yet either. Sounds like the LFO is like waiting a second before it kicks in. I like that. Remember that? Fun. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna turn off the LFO for now. It just sounds beautiful. Okay, and then the last effect we have, of course, is delay. So let's see if we can mix in some delay. I want to try some low chords just so we can get a sense. I'm going to turn off course and just focus on delay for a minute. Yeah, man, I think this is definitely going to work for me. I gotta say, this thing sounds frickin' beautiful. That just sounds so... It just sounds really nice. So first impressions, I mean, there you go. I've run down the whole synth. I've shown you what it is, what the different parts do, what all the different sections are. I don't know what else to tell you. It does come with a ton of presets. There are some menus down here to be able to do stuff like that, like access the presets. I haven't checked those out. I'll save that for another video. We can explore some of the presets. I'll just do a sound demo and I'll just play some of those. I suspect that when I do the presets, these are no longer knob per function because those settings will have been saved in the preset and they're not going to know necessarily where you have the knobs, but you should be able to still tweak them, I imagine. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But that'll probably give us a better idea checking out some of those presets that come with it. I know Miles Away did some. A couple different people have definitely done some sounds and presets on here that hopefully sound really cool and give us a better idea of what this thing sounds like. But for the sake of this video, for my first impressions, I'm going to say it sounds freaking beautiful. It just sounds fantastic. Well done, GS Synths. I'm stoked for you guys. As far as construction, it's heavy metal. These all feel just super stable and super smooth. They feel beautiful. Everything feels very well laid out. Like I didn't feel like I had to think too much about what I was doing. It all just kind of makes sense. The buttons, the UI is just great. What can I say? For me, again, when I'm sound designing, having a knob per function is just such a faster way of getting to a cool sound. And this definitely fits the bill. They're available now if you want to check them out. I got mine at Perfect Circuit. It got here in a couple days. They just went out. Like I said, there's almost no videos for this. This will probably be one of the first videos where anyone actually even gets to see it or hear it. I'll try to follow up with a sound demo where we'll look at some of the presets next. This thing is beautiful. Well done. You guys did great work, GS Synths. I'm happy so far. So I can't wait to continue exploring this and seeing how it's going to work into my setup. Thanks for joining me, Ryan from Oakland Goats. If you found this helpful, if you found it informative, consider subscribing. It's a big help to the channel, and we would certainly appreciate that support. I'm just gonna play a couple more chords and then I'm gonna call it done. So thanks guys. See you next time.